It is exactly what we asked for and exactly what we would expect for a crime of this nature. And then, of course, it gives the family a degree of closure to know that he's not getting out.
Do you expect him to read a letter today? When did you become notified that he was going to read his phone letter to the court?
So he submitted a letter to the court as part of the defense materials, but then I became notified right before the sentencing that he would read a letter, which is not surprising.
What did you think about it?
You know, I believed he was once again continuing his pattern of manipulation by using his children. To me, that was disgusting, to use his children as a reason to ask for parole when he abandoned them without any parents because of his decision to murder his wife. And so it was very important to me to get that out there when I spoke, that manipulation should not be a reason for him to evade life without parole.
How did the family react to the sentence?
For them, having to do this all again could not be more painful, but to have the outcome where they hopefully have certainty that he won't be released is a great relief. And the one good thing that has come out of this is that Douglas is an adult now, and he was able to have his voice heard in a way that could not have happened years ago at the time of the first trial and the first sentencing. So it's never good news when a case is reversed, but there is a small amount of hope that Douglas, with his voice being heard, that he can use that to overcome what his father inflicted upon him.
Is this the end of the saga? Is there any more room for appeals? Is this it?
If only. So the thing about a criminal trial is there always is going to be an opportunity to appeal. So there's no rule or law against appealing, and I fully expect him to appeal. In spite of what we heard at the sentencing today, where his emphasis was on closure, I think that was just for sentencing. I don't think that's true, and I think he will appeal. I think those were just words that didn't mean anything to try to get parole, and that didn't work, and I fully expect that he will appeal. But I also fully expect that this is the end, that there will be no future trials. Bev, please. Bev is happy to answer questions.
Well, Bob wishes he could be here. He's got a jury trial going on where he's a prosecutor, and unfortunately it's going longer than he thought it would. So, yes, I've always been in the background, so here's my voice.
So, Bev, tell us how you helped us as our public service special prosecutor.
Well, I've been involved in this case from day one, along with Bob, in the background, and of course I have my opinions about this case, and I won't give you all of those, but I've listened to a lot of recordings. In fact, these are the telephone calls from the jail or prison, depending on where Mark Jensen's at the moment. I've heard them from Walworth County Jail, I've heard them from the Kenosha County Jail, I've heard them from Dodge County. In fact, Bob and I had gone on vacation a couple weeks ago, and we were listening to recordings there and back. Because you know what? You get information. And in fact, you've heard some of these recordings probably during the trial. I will tell you that we've developed a relationship with the family, with the Griffin family, with Julie's family. And you couldn't ask for a nicer family. And it's always been kind of it was really hard for Bob and me to see how they were kind of dragged through the mud, especially in the first trial. And I think this time, who wants to do a new trial? But I think it was good we had a new trial, because I think that the Griffin family, I think the goodness of them was shown in this second trial.
Did Bob have any hesitation about coming back here after all these years? And
Never. Are you kidding? Never. Ever. I mean, no.
He was happy to do it?
Happy to do it. And no matter where you go, if you're going to have a change of venue again, because the first trial was in Walworth County. And, the first trial, he was the chief legal counsel for the Department of Transportation. He had left the DA's office. And because of the complexity of this case, and you've been here, you see how much evidence there is, and you have to comb through all of that. It's a complicated case, and so it was hard for the DA, that was the DA at the time, to come into that case. And so he asked Bob if he would be special prosecutor on it, and Bob's boss agreed to let him do it. And so he didn't get paid any extra, you know, he did that as a public service, and he was still the chief legal counsel, so he was still doing his other job when he did that first trial, which was an 8-week trial. This time he's an assistant district attorney, and he cannot not work. He's retired 3 times, but he really likes being a prosecutor. And fortunately, he's got a really great boss. And you know what? I believe if his boss that he has didn't agree for Bob to be special prosecutor, he probably would have quit that job so he could do this case, because this is the most important case he's ever had in his life. It's because it's justice for Julie. It really is about Julie and the evil. I mean, Carly said this, and Carly's done a wonderful job. I'm so impressed with her. I mean, she came in this case last year. I mean, this case has been going on for how long? And you saw what a great job she did. She really came up to it. But I forgot where I was going with it. But
I mean, pretty much Bob would never, you know, give up this case.
Bob would never give up this case. Yes, and it's about justice for Julie. So one thing I didn't like hearing today from the defense, I didn't hear them once say, you know, take responsibility for what he did. And it really bothered me when his attorney said Julie left the kids. And she did not leave those children. That's why she was murdered, because she didn't leave. She wouldn't leave those boys. And she thought she was that he might be trying to murder her. She wasn't sure. Maybe he was gaslighting her. But the reason she didn't leave is because she didn't want to lose those boys. She cared about them. So for them to say today, she left them, that to me was really insulting. She never would have left those boys. And I wish I knew Julie. But I do have, the 6 degrees of separation. Ruth Vorwald, who was the neighbor and the book club lady with Julie, there was an article in the Kenosha News a few months ago about the book club. It's still going on. And one of their new members was in my book club when I used to live in Kenosha County. So there's kind of that little connection there. So I wish I knew Julie.